All right, guys, as you guys seen in the last video, we got this thing running finally. But now I want to get this thing driving. Where I left off with starting this thing is I had no reverse and I was super confused. My buddy told me that you have to wire up the trans brake to get the reverse to work. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm also cleaning up the wiring underneath the dash. So those two things together, this thing should be running and driving by the end of this night. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. This is the transmission wiring. You gotta take this plug out and add 2 pins to it. And then you run that to a switch and a power saver, which is this Holley setup thing. I guess it just protects your computer from feedback, and then we'll run wires through this harness up to the computer and hopefully it works out. Well guys, like I said, I'm cleaning underneath the dash and man, this freaking sucks. Literally in the tightest space ever, trying to run a bajillion wires under here and clean it up. It's like the worst thing ever had to do, but it's gonna be so nice when it's done. Turns out I wired in the trans brake wrong. My buddy Mike, who you guys know as Daddy Mike, had to come over and help me get it squared away, but it's all good now, thank God. All right, hit the button.
I turned the key off.
Turn it back on. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Oh gosh. That is the sound of finally a working trans brake. So this thing is almost ready to go and get started up and drive. So I got my steering column sitting here. And I bolt that in there. That's like 3/6 bolt. The only other thing that I have to do is run it through a heat cycle, drain the oil out of it just in case, and then put new oil in it, new filter, and check the transmission oil. Here in about a couple of minutes, we're gonna be driving this thing. Man, dude, that looks pretty clean, doesn't it? Hopefully this startup goes a little bit better than the last one. I gotta get in there and give her some gas, brother. Goddamn tractor. Hey, it's good to finally hear that again. Coolant temperature seems to be not reading right. 40 degrees? I don't think so. Alright, so push the button. It went into reverse. Hey, you guys have to come pick me up. It just spit all the transmission fluid out for some reason. Oh shit. So as you can see, everything is literally covered in transmission fluid underneath here because, as you guys seen in this clip I'll show right here. Oh gosh. Still going, still going, still going. Oh my God. And finally stopped. I made a huge long line of transmission fluid because one of the trans cooler lines blew off last night. I'm gonna drop that line off. My buddy Mike thankfully had an extra fitting. So we're gonna get this piece put back on there, put some transmission fluid back in it and go drive it. And hopefully it stays on this time. Well, that ain't quite right there, brother. All right guys, the equipment alignment. So we're gonna take this thing for a drive real quick, and we might even test the trans brake. So far so good, except for my dash lights quit working. I don't know why that is, but it seems to be running pretty decent. All our numbers look pretty good. So we're gonna go over just a little short cruise and see how she does. So far so good, guys. She hasn't died yet, but I'm not holding my breath. Dang, them turbos sound so good though. Guys, we're gonna test out the trans brake. It's a little head, I'm not gonna do anything nuts. So there's the button. Oh yeah. Woo! It works! That is good news. That is awesome. After all the year, foot braking this thing off the line, using that trans brake and it actually working the way it's supposed to is the coolest thing ever. Man, it feels good to be driving this thing again. Oh, nothing beats this or that sound. Woo! Got it! All right, guys. It was was a second drive. It wasn't the first maiden voyage. You guys seen how the first maiden voyage went? Not so well.
I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
As far as for the second drive, this thing went and drove pretty dang good. The tune is a lot better. I know I need to mess with the startup tune a little bit. It is still a little funky. I think it's getting a little bit too much fuel. And then right when I shift it into gear, it keeps dying. So I don't know what exactly is going on there. But I'm super excited to have this thing back on the road. I need to get all the little things squared away. And then we'll take it to the track and see what it'll do. But that'll be the end of this week's video. Come back next week, see what we tear up. I'll see you later, guys.